Bristol City 0, Sheffield United 3. A great way to start the EFL playoffs, but is this first semi-final in the Championship over before the second leg has even begun? A controversial red card to talk about as well. Let's take a look at the tactics that were involved last night that allowed Chris Wilder's side to triumph over Liam Manning, and of course we will talk about the red card as well. Without further ado, let's just get straight into the tactical concepts that were in play. And as we can see on the screen, Sheffield United set up in a 4-4-2, and it was a 5 sort of with the wing backs really nice and high and wide, and then a 5-2-2-1 with a box type of midfield. And that's the first thing that I want to talk about, is this box midfield, especially this midfield 2, can be called a double pivot. I know some people don't like that sort of phrase, but as we move the players up, and let's just get everyone kind of into position. I'll also add a ball into the game here. We can see that the 4-4-2 that Sheffield United set up in was actually done with the purpose of stopping what is known as the 3-2 build-up. So it's called 3-2 build-up for obvious reasons, a back 3 and a midfield 2, and the primary purpose of this build-up is for the back 3 to get the ball into the midfield 2, who can then try and distribute the ball into some of these more offensive players. So as I say, build out from the back like Bristol City like to do. But of course, they were set up in a 4-4-2, very, very narrow, compact system, of course. Let's move everyone else up here. And what this 4-4-2 did with Chris Wilder, the way he set up, was really, really smart. So of course, you've got the front two. They would go and look to press. But what would happen is, whatever side the ball was on, so if the ball was at the left with the left centre-back, the right central midfielder would then go and join this press. Or on the other side, if the right side of centre-back had it, the left side of midfielder would go and join this front 3. And so what happened was, and then the other side of midfielder would tuck in more narrow. This then created a very, very narrow front 3 press. And the purpose of this was to block off the passing lanes into this midfield 2. So no matter what, they couldn't play through. And this basically negated the 3-2 build-up that Bristol City like to use to build out from the back. That was very, very clever from Chris Wilder. He set his side up in this way to negate the way that Bristol City like to play. Of course, he knows that Bristol City are at home. They're going to have a lot more of the ball. They had 70% possession in the first half, so he sets them up a bit more pragmatically, using the out of possession shape really, really well. This forced Bristol City to find some solutions. So what did they do to sort of solve this problem? Well, the centre-backs in build-up then just went a little bit wider. The wing backs for Bristol City is so important. There's such a unique profile. You got down the right hand side a little bit more of a winger profile. Then McCrory on the left hand side. He's actually right footed, and we'll get onto him in a moment. Not a natural left wing back by any means, but would still maintain that width. What you then had was also the 10s drift into wide areas as well to combine. So if we go down this right hand side, you then have the ball move out to this right centre-back, and all of a sudden you've got a very, very natural passing angle into this wide area where overloads can be drawn out with this wide attacking midfielder. May draw over the centre mid, but you've then got the obvious angle down the line to play that passing angle and build up in a different way. So instead of playing through the middle like they would like to and get into midfield 2 so they can turn and distribute, it would instead go into those wide areas. It was down this left-hand side that we would actually have the most joy Bristol City would get. If we just pull everyone back into the box, this was where the area was around this sort of area of the box that was where they got their chance. Now, it was because of Mehmeti and McCrory both wanting to cut inside into this same area. They're both right footers, both coming inside and both looking to sort of operate in and around this space. And it was Mehmeti that actually drifted inside here. He played the ball across the 18, sort of face of the 18-yard box. Williams ran onto it and it struck the bar. If you've not seen that chance, you need to go and see it. It was worthy of a goal. The strike was unbelievable. But what that did just showed that from that left-hand side, the unique profile of McCrory also cutting inside. Ryan Brewster was the right-sided midfielder. He had a lot of defensive work to do. There's been split opinions on his role. Some think he did really well. He had to work really hard because he was obviously springing up to join the front two as well in the press, which was really important. So he had a lot of work to do down that right-hand side and getting back in position. But it was the best chance of the game that Bristol City created from that sort of zone. That's not to say, though, that Sheffield United didn't do a lot of their own work. I know we focus on Bristol City here because they built out from the back and had so much possession. It's 70% in the first half. But what Sheffield United did have was Kiefer Moore, and they would look to play direct into him. He's obviously got a massive frame, and then feed off of the knockdowns and the second balls. If say Dickey would win a header, then they would feast on the second ball if they could try and turn it over and win from there. So a little bit more direct. This central area, as you can see, very, very compact, very, very, congested is the word I'm looking for there. Loads of players in there. You've got the 4 central midfielders, you've got the striker, you've got overload against the 2 midfielders of Sheffield United. So what's a way to bypass that? We'll go straight over the top, get into Moore, feast on the knockdowns, and of course, that is how they got their chance. Moore was clean through in the box. And if you haven't seen the red card, well, it is obviously controversial. There's split opinions on it. It all comes down to how you interpret the action. It's double jeopardy. It's kind of the rule that the Bristol City fans and Liam Manning especially are focusing on. It all comes down to whether you think that him trying to play the ball, he does obviously try and come round the side with his foot and try and get something on the ball, but is that action all part of the same motion where he's grabbed, pulled and tried to sweep? Is that all one action, or is it 2 separate? Is it a pull back and then attempting to play the ball? If it's the latter, then it's a straight red. He's got to go because he's not attempting to play the ball with his initial foul. If it is the first, with all one action and he tried to play the ball, then it is double jeopardy and he should get a yellow and just a penalty. Either way, I do think that the red card has probably overshadowed and what was a really impressive second half performance from Sheffield United. Bristol City went to a 5-3-1 shape, dropping one of those attacking midfielders. They made changes at half time as well. Sinclair Armstrong came on, and you can understand the thinking there, bringing on a physical profile like him to try and lead the line on his own. But what they did by making these changes, they changed the way they build up, their 3-2 build up, which Wilder had done so well in negating. He then, with a midfield 3, it's different build-up shapes, different build-up angles. What Bristol City became with the man down was a lot more passive. They surrendered possession to Sheffield United, and Sheffield United actually had 70% possession themselves in the second half. So a complete reversal of roles in terms of who had more of the ball across the 2 halves. I do think that perhaps the goals conceded by Bristol City, though, shouldn't really be impacted by the red card. I don't doubt that the red card changed the game. The momentum clearly shifted, and like I said, the way the whole game, the makeup of the game, the way it looked was completely different. Sheffield United all of a sudden had all of the ball. Bristol City had none of it. But the 2 goals, the first is a cut back across the box. It goes past 4 defenders. The first defender comes across to try and prevent the cross in the first place. And then there are 2 instances in the box where they could cut it out. And then McCrory loses his man and Brooks manages to smash the ball home. It's a really good finish, to be fair, first time. But the point is, it gets past 4 defenders in the box. They still managed to have a back 5. The red card shouldn't have impacted the defending of their own box. Similarly, the third goal, another really, really good finish, even better perhaps. Callum O'Hare mid-air, flicking the ball, but again, it's a set piece. I know that they lost Dickey, who's obviously his aerial prowess is lost, and defending set pieces is slightly more difficult, but once again, you should still have the right amount of numbers on the pitch to be able to defend the box. It's more things like the build-up, which should be impacted, which clearly were, as they had to surrender more of the ball. But the actual defending of the box perhaps shouldn't have been as impacted by the red card. The second half, of course, was a little bit more routine. For Sheffield United, of course, with an extra man, it's much easier than to pop the ball around and their quality. But I think the biggest credit that Sheffield United and Chris Wilder should have is the changes they made, the 2 substitutes they put on, O'Hare and Brooks both getting goals. Of course, that comes down to squad depth, the quality they've got on their bench. Like Liam Manning said in his post-match, they would walk into a lot, in most of the Championship sides, to be honest. And that is why Sheffield United have been the heavy favourites going into the playoffs, simply because they have got so much quality and they have just got a squad that's so much better than the other teams that are in the playoffs. They've got game changers, they've got match winners to bring on off the bench, and that's exactly what they did. So whilst the red card certainly impacted things, I think Sheffield United deserve credit for the changes they made. And Bristol City, the way they defended their own box is probably the bigger question mark and something that they can improve upon for the next leg. Is the game over? Of course, nothing is over in football, and a shade of things have happened, but it would have to be an incredible comeback for Bristol City to turn around a 3-goal deficit. I will say the way that they did build up was very promising. I think they could learn from it. Again, they did find some solutions on the pitch, which was really impressive. They adapted as the game went, but they were unable to adapt to the 10-man situation. And of course, the decision to make the foul in the first place probably cost them that game and may cost them the tie because it got away from them. But it'll be very interesting to see if the tactics are slightly different next time out. If you guys have enjoyed this video, slightly different, slightly shorter, just tactically previewing one game or reviewing one game rather. If you enjoyed that, please do let me know in the comments. If you could give the video a like as well, that would really, really help. And of course, if you've not subscribed yet, if you could, it'd be massive. It really, really helps out the channel. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you want me to do more of these, do let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one.